Now, the big focus of ours at the moment and for today is the crippling infrastructure of municipalities when it comes to power supply. Now, the municipalities, apart from having infrastructure issues, they've got financial problems as well. They owe billions to Eskom, making it very difficult for the utility to then pay and deliver for services. This has meant that some communities find themselves in the dark for days, if not weeks, at a time. So we're trying to understand and explore the state of those affected communities and how they've actually been functioning without electricity, because Theodore Mashele, eNCA reporter, out in Lenasia for us this morning. Hello to you, Theo. You're near one of the big substations, because in the end, some of these communities have had no choice. They've had to learn to adapt living without power. Isn't that true?
Yes, indeed, Gareth. I mean, we do know as a country that we are going through quite a crisis, and on top of load shedding, what has been happening is that people have been having power outages that last for weeks, and it's just a matter of now trying to discover exactly what is being done, what the problem is exactly. Just last week, I was coming to you guys from a different side of Johannesburg, which is North Riding, where they were also struggling with power outages, which is a similar issue. But right now, today, we are here in Lenasia tracking this load shedding issue, and I am by the Lenasia power station, as you can see behind me, and I am joined by Councillor Imran Musa from Johannesburg City Power. How are you, Councillor?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here on this lovely, beautiful day, despite all our outages. But, you know, sometimes we have to look at the brighter side of, you know, our living. And presently I'm on Nirvana Drive, and as you see behind me, there's a substation here. And I think this is a problem that we're having throughout South Africa, and particularly in Johannesburg, where we're having a lot of inrushes, because these substations are not particularly designed for, you know, the type of load shedding that we're having and the inrushes that are affecting us as communities. So, you know, we've had recently, I think for the last 6 months to 8 months, immediately after load shedding, what happens is we have trips, you know, which takes place, and this is caused due to the design of substations that cannot manage adequately to take the strain of this power that's coming through. So there's always an overload, and considering a lot of the informal settlements also that's taking a lot of the power from these substations also cause more strain. So these are some of the problems that we're having, and coupled with that, we also have, like for example, on this particular road, if you will notice, if you go down this road, the cables, I've replaced them about 2 or 3 months ago. And what has happened is these cables keep on getting stolen. Now, I mean, cables that are you know, put on high poles and they get stolen, you know, it makes one wonder, how do these cables get missing? And theft is a major issue for us in South Africa as well. We're trying to find ways and means with security to try and curb these type of issues with regards to the strain from informal settlements. You know, a lot of places where the infrastructure is not designed, particularly for the strain that comes in for these type of outages that we are experiencing. And obviously, many of the infrastructures that we have, particularly in the city of Johannesburg, are old infrastructures, and as pointed out earlier, not designed particularly for the overloads that we're having presently. So these are just some of the problems that we're having, Theo.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, the load shedding causes trips within the substations, you say. So what I'm trying to ask is, what are the solutions, possible solutions, in order to equip our substations with something that could possibly help prevent this from happening?
So, you know, the city has to create more budgets. Firstly, and you know, the protocols and processes are quite an ardent one, because we have to manage these processes. And we are at the moment engaging with City Power to try and see how we can solve the problem in many of these substations that cannot cope with the strain. So some of the ways and means is that they are trying to find relays, etc., to ensure that the maintenance is carried out regularly, and that it can manage these overloads, you know, in terms of the strain that we're having with these outages. So those are just some of the issues that we're having. Coupled with that is the infrastructure of water again. So like between yesterday and today, only in Indonesia we had 3 burst pipes. And as we're standing here at the moment, we have a burst pipe on one of the main roads of the CBD. That's, quite often a serious problem. We have addressed this with the city, and obviously again we have to wait for the processes, protocols to avoid any type of corruption, to ensure that these pipings are reinstated or new piping being put in, so that we can avoid these continuous pipe bursts that we're having in many of the old infrastructure places here in the city of Johannesburg.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. But let's go back to the electricity issue. So you also mentioned security being one of the reasons, and cable theft. So, and what is being done about that in order to improve the security?
So we have, in recent times, what I've done is that we have sent out messages to the community. Please help us, assist us. When you see these criminal elements that are taking our infrastructure down in terms of removing cables, in terms of digging to steal cables, they must report it immediately. And we have provided numbers to our community to immediately report these to risk control, whereby we can have some kind of immediate attention. But these are done sometimes during load shedding, and it makes it very difficult sometimes for us to see where these criminals are operating from, to try and steal cables and to cause these outages that we're having. So we have several issues, and we also have security from the city power side of the entity, to ensure that we curb these type of elements that are causing major issues with regards to some of the outages that we're having in the city of Johannesburg.
All right, thank you, Councillor. That was Councillor Imran Musa there, Gareth, just outlining some of the problems that the city is having, but particularly in this municipality. He's mentioned the security cable theft issue, and he's also mentioned the infrastructure itself in terms of maintenance of the substations, and he has also mentioned the fact that these substations were actually not designed to handle the kind of load shedding and on and offs that has been happening. But we will still be tracking even more in the municipalities around Johannesburg and around the country, just to see what other issues could come up in terms of these power outages.
Yeah, let's get to the bottom of the issues and then try and find solutions from there. Theo, thank you very much indeed for finding a councillor that we can actually hear from this morning. Theodore Mashele taking a look at what is our big focus for today, electricity and the lack of it at a municipal level.